بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I start with the name of Allah, seeking reward from Allah and from Allah alone. I thank and praise Allah with my tongue for the countless endowments, the many benefits that Allah has blessed us with without Allah being obligated to give us anything. And I humbly ask Allah to raise the rank of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who has the highest rank. And I ask Allah to raise his rank even higher. MashaAllah. The last time that we were together in this class, we went over and we began going over in the obligatory knowledge. We began to discuss the chapter of purification from the book entitled The Briefest of Summaries. We mentioned that the signs of pubescence, what makes a person know that one is pubescent, and those signs are three. They are the completion of 15 lunar years. Having the wet dream of the emission of mani for both the male and the female. And menstruation for the female when she is around 9 lunar years of age. We went on and we discussed istinja, the cleaning of oneself after urination and defecation. And we said it is permissible to be completed by water and by stone. And we said about this stone or the like, that the equivalent for this stone is something that is uprooting. It removes what it takes. So it wouldn't be something that's smooth like glass, that it would be pure. So one cannot use, for example, a stained material. It is solid. So for example, one cannot use sand. Dry. So one cannot use a wet wipe, for example. And it would be something that is religiously unrespectable. So one would not use, for example, the pages of the Quran or something like that, or even the notes upon which religious information is written. And one would use this 3 times, at least 3 times, or until what is seen from that najis filth is removed. So in a common example, we use toilet paper, the white toilet paper. It comes back white. If it's 1 time, he does it 2 more. If he's done it twice, he does it 1 more. If it's 3 times and he's clean, he has done what he needs to do. And if he has done this 3 times, yet it's still not clean, he continues until it is clean. And we mentioned that what is best is to use both these stone or its equivalent, the toilet paper, and then to use the water. We talked about wudu, and we talked about the integrals of wudu. We said that there are 6. The first being the intention. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing it? Because he is removing the state of impurity from himself as an obligation so that he can perform an obligatory matter such as the prayer, for example. He does this while he is washing the face. So he would have the intention as he's washing his face, and he would wash his face. And he would wash his hands up to and including the forearms and the elbows. He would wipe something from his head. He would wash both of his feet with the ankles. And he would do this in that order, in that sequence. And we talked about the invalidators of wudu. The things that if he did this after performing wudu, he has lost his purification, he would need to make wudu again. And we said that there are 4. Something coming out of his eliminatory outlets, besides the mani, besides the mani, the semen, the ejaculated fluid. Even if that were a stone, his wudu would be invalidated, and he would need to make wudu again. We said if he had an absence of mind, a loss of consciousness, whether that were from insanity or sleeping even, except the sleep. And he sleeps while his buttocks are firmly planted. The way that air does not escape in that way. Such as if he's sitting on the floor, firmly seated, he sleeps that way and he wakes up that way. In this situation, his wudu is not invalidated. But if he lost consciousness for another reason, it's not sleeping. His wudu was invalidated. If he slept, but he slept and his buttocks were not firmly planted, or he slept and his buttocks were firmly planted when he fell asleep, but he woke up in a different position. His wudu is invalidated, and he would need to perform wudu to purify himself before performing the acts that require his purification, such as the prayer. We said another of these 4 matters that invalidates the wudu for one is to touch the skin of a marriageable male or female. So for the woman to touch a marriageable man, for the man to touch a marriageable woman, marriageable female, this breaks their wudu. They lose their purification by this. And this is the case when both of these have reached a state in which they are normally desired. And who are the marriageable men, the marriageable women? In short, it's all of the women for the man, except for his relatives, besides his cousins, in short. So his mother is not marriageable for him, nor was his sister, nor his aunt, his mother's sister, for example. And this touching invalidates the wudu of both the man and the woman. And the fourth among these invalidates is the touching of the private parts of the human being, whether that be the penis of the man or the vagina of the woman, or the anus, with the inner part of the hands, without a barrier. And we talk about this inner part of the hands, we mean if you were to take the two hands and you put them together like this, what is no longer seen. We went on to discuss amongst the water, a large amount of water and a small amount of water. We said that a large amount of water is 2 coolers or more, about 51 gallons. And the small amount of water is what is less than that. So if it were 1 quarter, or 1.5, or 1 3/4, for example, if it was 25 gallons of water, or even 40 gallons of water, this is less than 2 quarters. This is considered a small amount of water. And a small amount of water becomes contaminated. All of it becomes not just filth when it comes in contact with a not just filthy man. However, the large amount of water, what is 2 coolers or more, what is more than 51 gallons, no less, does not become contaminated unless its taste, its color, or its odor changes as a result of the najas filth. We went on to discuss the ghusl, the purificatory bath, or the purificatory shower that one takes. And we said that there are 6 things that make a ghusl necessary for one to purify himself. And these are the sexual intercourse. So the insertion of the penis into a private part, the emission of mani, the exiting of the ejaculated fluid for either a man or a woman. menstruation, the postpartum bleeding, termination of the menstruation or the postpartum bleeding, both of these necessitate the purificatory bath, the ghusl. Childbirth also necessitates the purificatory bath, the ghusl. And death. And this obligation is not upon the one who died, rather it is a communal obligation upon those Muslims who know that he died. And this ghusl, the integrals for the ghusl, the obligations of this ghusl are just two. It is to have the intention in the heart that one is removing this state of major ritual impurity. One is purifying himself. It's an obligation. This is his intention. Or he intended that he is performing this ghusl, this purificatory act, this purificatory bath, so that it is now permissible for him to perform an obligatory act, such as the prayer, for example. And one would wash his entire body with purifying water. His hair, all of it. His beard, all of it. What's underneath it, even if it's thick. If he has moles or protrusions of flesh on his body, he washes that, all of it. If he is a fat man or woman, he gets up underneath those cracks, he lifts it up and gets underneath there to make sure that the water washes his entire body. And we've reached the section that talks about the prohibitions while one is in a state of ritual impurity. So the one who does not have wudu, his wudu was invalidated. There are 4 things that he is prohibited from. He is not allowed to perform the prayer while in that state. He cannot circumambulate, go around the Kaaba. He cannot touch al-Musaf, the Quran, nor can he carry it. And for the one who is junub, the one who must perform the ghusl, there are 6 things that he cannot do. Those 4 that we mentioned, so he can't pray, he can't circumambulate the Kaaba, nor can he touch the Quran, nor carry it. Also, he cannot dwell in the masjid. And he is prohibited from reciting Al-Quran with the loud voice, with the voice that can be heard. And there are 9 things that are prohibited for the menstruating woman. They are prayer, circling the Kaaba, touching Al-Quran, carrying it, reciting it. Nor can she fast, linger in the masjid and dwelling in it, and she cannot allow her husband to enjoy the area that is between her navel and her knees without a barrier. Her husband nor her master. she is prohibited from doing that while she is menstruating. The next chapter that the author mentioned, authored, it is concerning the reasons for dry purification, or tayammum. And there are three. They are, and this tayammum is a dry purification. So the tayammum does not use the water. And they are the absence of water. He does not have water. There's no water to be found with these conditions. He's allowed to perform tayammum. Sickness, if he is one who would be harmed by the water, in this case he would not harm himself, he would perform tayammum. And the third reason for this tayammum is the one who perhaps he has water, but he needs that water for his animal, his respectable animal. In this case, instead of using the water, performing wudu, or performing ghusl, he would perform tayammum in his place. And there are conditions for this dry purification. And they are that the tayammum is performed with the pure, unused soil. So the soil that has already been used, maybe someone else may tayammum with that. Maybe he did part of the tayammum and that was dropped. Does not use that. That's considered used soil. He would not use that. And the tayammum, it would not be mixed. So when it be mixed with a powdered substance, for example, or the like, and he would not use the soil that has been mixed with ashes, for example. And this tayammum would be performed with 2 strikes, for the face and the hands. And he would remove any unexempted najis filth from himself. And another condition for this tayammum to be valid is that he would make a determination for the prayer direction before it, and that he would perform tayammum during the time of the prayer that he is performing. So this means, for example, he doesn't have water. He's somewhere he doesn't expect to have water. But he does not perform tayammum for the Dhuhr prayer before the time of Dhuhr has set in. Is it clear?
So he has to make the prayer or has to be at the time?
So he has to make it within the prayer. So let's say Paul comes in at 1:05. And he knows he don't have water. He looked 11:30, he looked for water. 12:30, he's still looking for water. He has to wait until Dhuhr time comes in before he makes tayammum. And the integrals or the obligation of the tayammum are 5. That he would have the intention. His heart is the place of the intention. You have this intention in the heart with the transfer of the soil from where it's at to his hands. And that he would wipe the face with the soil. And that he would wipe his hands, his forearms, and his elbows, both. And that he would maintain that order. And what invalidates the tayammum, what makes it so that he lost his purification, or what he has, his replacement of this purification, are 3. They are whatever invalidates the wudu, apostasy, so if he did any of the things that invalidated the wudu, he touched a marriageable woman, or something came out of his penis, or he passed gas, for example, this invalidates his tayammum. And if he apostatized, if he left Islam, this invalidates his tayammum. You got a much bigger problem, but it invalidates this tayammum. And if he imagines water, think that there's water, this would invalidate his tayammum if the reason why he made tayammum was because of the absence of water. So if he made tayammum because he was sick, then water being present does not affect it. It's clear? Okay. Well, where is he going? Like if it's a person, for example, and he was, so answer is shortly is yes. So if it was a person that was sick and he's harmed by the water, like maybe he's allergic to water, may Allah protect us, he's harmed by that water. So he has this sword that he takes with him and fulfills all of this. And he hits that soil, that the soil is on his hands, and then he, with the intention of his heart, and the time when the prayer came in, he hits that, he strikes it, he does his face, strikes again, he does his hands, then yeah, that would be valid. But what if he's not harmed by it? What if there's plenty of water around? Then what would he make tayammum for? So that's the issue. If there is water around, he uses water. And if he could carry a box of soil with him, maybe he could carry water with him. MashaAllah. Subhanallah. As far as that's concerned, Islamically, generally, we don't assume najasa. So, if he said it might be, it might not be. We don't assume that it is mixed with not just filth. Anything? Barakallahu feekum wa jazakallahu khairan. Inshallah, and with that talil, wa salat ala nabi. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.